Good morning. It's Friday, the 10th of April 2020, and also a big date in the religious calendar. It's Good Friday, so the day that Jesus was crucified historically. In terms of the Mayan calendar, it is yellow crystal human. So we're here 12 days in on this spiral, which began on the 30th of March. Yellow human, the 12th Mayan sign, is all about the human being, and the planet is Earth, so how the human being is experiencing life on Earth. We just had a supermoon in Libra, and we're still in that energy today, although it's gone into Scorpio. So we're still in that energy of the fullness. The emotional body is being activated, and we're at Scorpio 22 degrees in Glastonbury in the UK. So I'm just going to read that for you. This is from a website, aquaorfire.net, and from a channeled work called Inside Degrees. A rug woven out of rags. You take everything you experience in all its roughage, just as it is, and you form a vessel that is hardy and strong and enduring, and you put all of yourself into it. You leave nothing out. With fervour and intent, you put in there all the darkness and every difficult emotion you have got. For you are the quintessential example of what it has been like around here and how it feels. The collective karmas choose carefully those who can merge with what everybody is going through, and by sheer guts take it further, perhaps towards mutational breakthrough. To qualify, you have to grind yourself to bits with rude honesty, even at your own expense, because this is how it is. No shortcuts, no easy answers. Emotionally, this is the depth experience at its most intense. But there is an evolutionary drive of overwhelming power pushing you through the worst. And along this pathway, you will definitely find out what you are made of and what has been stopping everybody, and whether you have it in you to start things off again in a different direction in the earth crucible with no place to hide. Wow, yeah, again, perfect for today. So yellow human is the philosopher's stone. It's who we are. It's what's going on here in the body, not just what's going on up here. Scorpio energy is about truth. It's about the quest for love, intimacy, and recognizing that we are an incarnation of the divine. There's a part of us that believes that we're separate from the divine because of all the indoctrination and the conditioned mindset and life experiences of thousands and thousands of human beings going back to the beginning of time, where we have experienced separation. And so on that basic principle of feeling cast out, feeling separated, experiencing conditional love, which was back on day 10, so a couple of days ago, we are on a quest to remember who we are and to heal all of the belief systems where we believe we're separate from the divine. And this age that we're expanding into now, the age of Aquarius, this is so key for this process. So individuation, being rudely honest with ourselves, that's the key. learning about denial in terms of how our mind creates denial for us in order to survive, how it creates untruth, how it creates different coping mechanisms, different behaviours around people pleasing, for example. And, you know, why do we do people please? I can't even say the word today. Why do we do people pleasing? What's underneath it? What's behind it? Well, on the one hand, we want to be loved, don't we? Everybody wants to be loved. We all want to be loved and respected for who we are. And all our wounding comes from times and experiences where we haven't had that, and how that feels for us, and all the dishonesty that goes with it. So we're constantly looking for approval. We're constantly looking for people to recognise us, to see us. And through doing that process, we come to realise that is absolutely futile, because in terms of really understanding the wave spell on a deeper level, we understand that each person is locked into their human being story in the same way that we are. And so they actually can't see us until they can see themselves. We can't see others until we can see ourselves. And so this radical responsibility now has to happen. This radical shift towards letting go of any codependency, any Neptunian avoidance, coming down to the gritty reality of actually where we are codependent as an individual, how that feels, how if we're dependent on others for our self-worth, for our self-esteem, if we are constantly feeling down because other people can't see us, because other people aren't treating us well, and being stuck in that, you know, and doing more people-pleasing behaviour, then at some point we wake up and realise actually it's a waste of time and energy. It's a complete waste of time and energy. And again, back to where we are on the planet right now, we're in a state of seeing the inside projections of people and this belief system and this feeling separate from the divine looming large on the world stage. So we can see people's inner belief systems around the imbalance, around power tripping. At the moment, we're in the Aries Libra axis. So we're in traditional zodiac, we're in number 1 and number 7, Aries and Libra, the hero and heroine's journey being activated. And this is the renal axis, so to do with the kidneys, where the chi is in the Eastern framework of that, and bringing ourselves into balance with our shadow big time. So if we're feeling our adrenals are depleted right now, we've got huge fear going on the planet, the only thing that we can do personally is to focus on ourselves and being centered and grounded and understanding why we've got adrenal depletion, and stop doing it. Basically stop doing it, interrupt the pattern, go with the flow of coming into balance. And so even though a lot of this energy at the moment can feel suppressive, oppressive, some of it is really allowing us to be in a balanced space where all of our stuff's coming up to be looked at, to be examined, how we're feeling, how it makes us feel. And there's some really, really amazing good stuff as well around we're being made to rest. Some people are being in a space of working more than they've ever worked before. And so it's noticing that, you know, who's running that story about being the saviour, about rescuing others, about being the hero and heroine for others, noticing all of that story, and noticing, most importantly, what is my story, what's coming up for me now, because over the last 11 days we will see what has been coming up around our personal story that has been initiated when we were a child, and it just goes on a repeat. So again, turning everything on its head and realizing we're in charge of this on a personal level. So being a master of knowing what our story is, knowing what we're here to learn, what our wound is, what's always going to keep coming up for us, so that we can clear it and become a clear sign. And we've got our first clear sign coming up at the end of this 20-day cycle. So in 8 days' time, we've got the clear sign coming up of yellow resonant sun. And if you want to check out more about what the clear sign codes are, please check out my website, flowwithjo.com, because they are listed on there. So in terms of the natal chart, the cross, which is very key to today, the cross that we have to bear. If you choose, you can see the Jesus process, the Jesus human being story, in a different way. And we all go through it in order to be able to embody Christ consciousness. So look at Jesus's story, some of which has been rewritten because it's been written to fit in with an agenda. And a lot of it was written literally hundreds of years after this event happened to fit an agenda. So again, a lot of the information is written to manipulate and coerce human beings into a fear framework where they're codependent on somebody else knowing better than they do, basically, and needing to pay them for that process. And again, this is the codependency process that we're moving away from. But in terms of the basic process, each one of us goes through being misunderstood, being betrayed, people who are full of fear, not being able to see beyond their fear and how they project that onto us. And of course, how we do that with other people as well, how we're all projecting old stories onto each other. And I offer you, this is how the wave spell works. And eventually, how this works out is that he is sacrificed and dies a terrible death in order to be resurrected on Easter Sunday. And the key phrase there is, forgive them for they know not what they do, as well. But also that he was a human being, and so he suffered as we all suffer with the human being body. And again, the framework of the limitations of our body and what happens when we try and push beyond those limitations, how we hurt ourselves a lot of the time in order to expand our ego and in order to gain attention, gain love, gain status, which the spirit part of us does not need to do. The spirit part of us does not need to do any of that. So it's recognizing again the psyche, the ego, where we're seeking attention, and again noticing what's happening, how people are playing the game of life right now. So on Facebook, for example, how they're seeking attention from other people, playing games, all of that sort of framework. And that's all good, you know, in terms of where people are where they are. In terms of what's here for evolution, it's about us each one of us coming into maturity. So step one, learn what your codes are really as well, because that's your story, that's your history, that's your cross to bear. So in the natal chart, that is the ACDC and the ICMC. So Google those terms. The ACDC, the AC is the horizon, the consciousness that you're looking to embody in this lifetime. The rising sign, the ascendant. The descendant is on the opposite side. So on the east side, if you like, the ascendant on the west. The descendant on the east, so the opposite signs there. And the IC is the bottom of the stairway to heaven. So it's in the 4th house and runs up to the 10th house, the mid-heaven. That's the climb. So wherever your stairway to heaven begins, in whatever house, in whatever sign, that's the key where you begin your journey every year. And the top, the mid-heaven, the 10th house, the 10th Mayan sign, white dog, the heart's desire. So wherever your mid-heaven is, this is really key. And of course, you can also put this together with people as well in your life. That's another way to use it very practically. So if, for example, your mid-heaven is in Leo, who is that Leo person in your life, either now or in the past when you were a child? Back to the ACDC, that is the 1st and the 7th house. So again, your mission impossible is your 1st house. Your 7th house is about the house of relationships. So from the 1st to the 6th house in the natal chart is all about what was under, not being able to see that it's hidden, it's in the earth literally, because the top houses, they are the starry skies. They are what could be seen when you were born, what's on your event horizon. And the more that you work with your 1st to 6th house and know that and really heal that, then what happens naturally is the top, the opposite axis that you're working with, that naturally gets a big alchemical shift. In terms of the tree of life, or the human being as a tree, often a lot of the focus is up here with the crown chakra and the 3rd eye, and actually the action where to work is in the base. So the base chakra, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the power point. So all these lower chakras, they are the roots of the tree. And the more that you work with them, the more grounded you are, the more earthed you are, the more that you work with all of those issues around the base, the sacral and the solar plexus, all the power issues, all the relationship issues, all the how I feel connected to the earth issues, then work with the roots at this time. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful here in Glastonbury. And I've been out in the garden every day, grounding myself, because we've had the Libra full moon, and I'm in the Libra part of the zodiac, so very huge influence here. So again, working with that grounding, coming into balance with that as well, you know, holistically working with that. The more that I ground myself, get my hands in the earth, I'm out in nature, sun on the skin, coming into the eyes, activating all the hormones in there. This is so essential. Then all the top of the tree just flourishes naturally. And again, back to Mayan sign number 4, the seed, the star seed. So again, this process, human beings are plants. Like every being, we need key things in our life. And the more that we understand that, the more we become an expert on that. We've all got a shared code around that, with slightly different differentials depending on where we live on the planet. So we'll have adapted in different ways. But we need the same as a plant. We need light, we need water, we need love. So again, you know, the more that you work with your plants, the more that you have that loving relationship with them, you nurture them, because they're going to nurture you. So again, just all of this stuff, you know, it's out there, it's basic gardening principles. Make your garden, decide what you want in it. As you're doing your garden, you're learning about what things need, you're learning about what you need. As you're nurturing them, you're nurturing yourself. As you're learning about the cycles, so for example, I do moon gardening. So out with Libra yesterday, I was planting flowers, because Libra is all about planting flowers. When basically, when you're working with fire signs, generally that's around clearing and weeding. When you're working with air signs, again, flowers, things that are airy, you know, on the surface, on the top of the garden, very simplistically. In terms of earth, then great for planting potatoes, Taurus moon, great for manifestation, you know, literally the womb shape things, so like beetroots, anything below the earth. And when you put those into your body, they're going to ground you too, because they hold that amazing energy and code. So how we co-create with things. And check out Anastasia if you haven't, the Ringing Cedars series, because all of this speaks this amazing ancient wisdom around how to work with seeds and how to plant. In terms of the water sign, so Scorpio is the most fecund, amazing energy. So now is an amazing time to be planting seeds for the future. And I've got my seeds ready to go in, around vegetables in particular, of what I want to grow. So Scorpio, yes, really wonderful time. Cancer, yes, as well. And of course, Pisces. And again, recognizing where these are in your sign is key. So what we need as a human being is we need to be earthed. If we're doing too much esoteric or spiritual work, we can get very ungrounded, and we can disconnect from the earth and be off with the fairies, very common in Glastonbury and other key sacred sites in the world. So being in balance with spiritual practices is key. So, you know, if you're working in a monastery framework, for example, or some sort of community around that, it needs to be balanced with growing things, practical work, grounded work, you know, cleaning. We all need to be doing these practical things instead of being too much in our head, too much intellect, too much on the internet. Yesterday was a really key day because it was Blue Monkey Day. Blue Monkey is the 11th Mayan sign, so it's all about what we need to let go of. So again, just seeing that when we leave the planet Earth, we let go of everything material, don't we? So at some point, it's, you know, as we get older, going through this process of what do I need to let go of? What's calcifying in me? What am I holding on to? How am I becoming rigid? Where's that child gone that wants to play, that wants to be imaginative? And knowing what you really loved as a child, that's key. So yesterday I had a day off the internet, a day off phones, working with clients, working with myself. I just was pottering around the garden, being in the sunshine and making great food, and remembering as a child, that's what I used to love to do, playing in the woods, be out all day with my friends, coming back at night, you know, no mobile phones, no computers, just coming back home when it was dark. and yeah, just loving that time of year. So what we did as a child that we loved is so key to our heart space, you know, really being in our hearts and not letting all of our dreams die, not losing hope because of what's going on planet Earth right now. Knowing that we're here at this time to make a difference because we have had so many lifetime experiences. We've had so many extreme experiences as human beings. And now we're at an amazing time of turning all of that around and going with this cosmic shift. The more you know about astrology, and especially the more you know about your own sign and your own chart and your own cross to bear, and the more that you learn about healing frameworks, so I use emotional freedom technique, the more you realize that everything is already written, and the choice point is, what level of the game do you want to play at? Do you want to let go of your human being wounding story? Do you want to live the great adventure? Do you want to expand your mindset beyond any limiting conditional belief systems that you've inherited on a cellular level? And do you want to be emotionally free to be a child that is free from wounding and here to change the world by changing yourself? So if you want to know more about these frameworks, then please get in touch with me. My website is flowwithjo.com. Every month now I'm doing online webinars where I share cosmic information. Your personal charts will be included and whatever's aspecting that at the moment. And also sharing information about frameworks that you can use to empower yourself at this time to come into balance with your shadow, with your power, and be the change that you want to see in the world. So I hope you're enjoying this amazing time on the planet, and lots of love to you. I know it is challenging and big things coming up, but remember, everything that's coming up, you have that in your original story. So start exploring that now with the intention to healing it and letting go. Lots of love. Bye for now.